Welcome back, everybody. My name is Nick, also known as Mutwins here on the channel, and I'm joined by a good friend and pal, my friend Kenny here, also known as Mr.Costco. He's another content creator. I'll have his information and links to some of his social media outlets in the description below. We're actually brought here today to talk about a movie that we saw earlier this week, and I was excited to actually finally get to see it. Is Top Gun 2 Maverick. Dude, I was such a big fan of the first one. I didn't grow up in the 80s, but, you know, as a kid seeing this movie, it was action-packed. Tom Cruise was in it. There was a volleyball scene. But I was really happy that they were finally making another one, a direct sequel, from years down the road.
It took them quite a few years to get it done, but they got it done. Surprisingly, it was pretty damn spot on.
You know, the weird part about it is they had so much help from actual, like the U.S. Navy, a lot of real pilots, and a lot of people to help out with the stunts and such. I don't really know too much about how much involved the actors were in getting prepared for this role, but I'm pretty sure, you know, if it took them a long time and the shots are very realistic, if not real, they probably went to some extensive training.
Yeah, like a flight school or something. Because in the beginning, Tom Cruise said they're real G's. So whether they were in the jets themselves, experiencing the G's, or they experienced the G's beforehand.
I couldn't even imagine doing something like that. I really liked how this movie, you know, with sequels or even like reboots, not that this was a reboot by any means, but if you wait so long to do a sequel, you want to do it right. And Top Gun Maverick did it, you know, beyond my expectations.
Spot on, yeah.
They didn't drag anything out too much. They gave the viewer, if it was someone who's seen this movie for the first time and have not seen the 1985 Top Gun, you have enough information going into it to understand what has happened and what's going to happen. So I was pretty excited.
Yeah, absolutely. With like Mew said, with no not watching the first one at all, they gave you enough information that you could correlate to the first one without even seeing it.
Like, they did that mostly through flashbacks and obviously some dialogue between Tom Cruise and some of the people who he comes in contact with, such as Penny, his old summer fling or whoever that was. And also even like the pictures and stuff that you see. And like I said, the flashbacks. You can ruin the movie by doing too much of that or, you know, relying on that to tell the story.
To carry the movie, absolutely.
Which they executed it perfectly, and it was just to inform you of what, you know, has happened and what's going to happen. And I like how this movie had its own identity. You know, it stood on its own, you know, with the newer actors, Miles Teller as Rooster, Bradley Bradshaw, Goose's son, and even having old characters like Tom Cruise and then Val Kilmer as Iceman. That was awesome.
I mean, the way they put him in there and everything about that scene when he sees him and stuff was pretty good. But
they showed his character Iceman respect, but also, you know, respecting Val Kilmer in his condition. You know, it's a shame. They paid
tribute for him in the movie for the first movie. So,
exactly.
Yeah.
Now let me get into some of the fun stuff here. Let's talk about the use of the planes, the action scenes, everything. You know, I love the fact that the training sequences were most of like where, you know, the movie stood. You know, it was getting the pilots ready for their mission. And the mission wasn't like a crazy Mission Impossible. Well, I mean, it was supposed to be an impossible mission, but you're not seeing Maverick or Tom Cruise hanging on the side of a wing, you know, going Mach 10.
It wasn't out of this world. It was realistic to a movie viewer that was expecting realistic, real terms.
Exactly. They introduced the mission to not only Maverick, but also the pilots who are going to be involved. And it's a pretty, I mean, I wouldn't say it's a basic mission, but it's nothing that's like really out of the box.
Mission Impossible.
Mission Impossible, 007 type, you know, mission. Right. Now it's just the fact of Maverick getting his team ready, and he does that by any means possible, you know, getting them to work together as a team and putting them through crazy training obstacles through the jets, and it was awesome to watch. How they react to like an old timer Maverick.
Oh yeah, every scene. Just like I love the beginning. They had a little nostalgia. Like they showed the aircraft carrier, and they just played that classic music you heard from the first one. They kind of chopped it up a little bit, so it wasn't exactly the same, which is good. And then they just role played a little bit of that, and then it flashed to present day. It was enough to get you in the mood, and then on to the starting feature of the movie. It was great.
Tom Cruise as Maverick, he did a great job, and it's what you would expect from having the first movie being awesome, if you're a fan of it, and then him years down the road in another film. He played his character great and maturely. It wasn't too out of the box. He was pretty grounded in the role.
Yeah, I kid you not. You would think this is this was like where they really would have ended up so they really thought of the ending of the movie and where it ended, and then they picked up right where it left off. You thought this is what, and they explained pretty much, like the fact that he was a Top Gun for X amount of years before he went on to do what they showed in the film.
I know, and I love the fact that between the first movie and the events that have passed, Maverick is still a captain. He's not an admiral. He's not rising up in the ranks, and that's due to the fact that he doesn't play by the book. He almost gets fired, from the Mach 10 mission he pulled off with the freaking, I don't even know what to call that thing he was flying in. State of the art.
They called it the Dark Star. It was the code name for the mission, or the whatever the.
Yeah, I only saw the glimpse of it through the trailer when that came out.
I don't think they even showed that, did they? Or maybe they did.
They showed it in like a flyby sense.
Yeah.
They didn't really show the actual plane itself. They just showed Tom Cruise getting into some space gear and just taking off in this.
All right, I remember that trailer.
Space shuttle.
Boy, that opening jet scene. Oh, they did it so much detail to every aspect of that. The turning on the engines and just the back view. Yeah. Just the way they made it look beautiful, and then the flight scene was just what you would imagine. He's going super fast, like supersonic or whatever past Mach 10 would be, and then they just give you a really far out shot of the jet flying across the globe, basically, because he's going so fast. But the sound effects they made, and how sleek and quiet it was during this travel, and until he reached that mark, and then things got a little bit rough.
One thing I do have to say about that whole opening scene with him in the jet is the fact that he was supposed to call off the mission, and he, like I said, didn't play by the rules, and he took off, and he takes off at nighttime, or the sun is setting, so it's pretty dark out, and he's going so fast he catches up to the sun wherever it's rising.
I didn't even pay attention to that.
I don't know if he made it around the globe or what in that thing. He catches up to the sun, and that was I thought it was super dope, just visually. And it created for just, an awesome experience.
It was visually nice, pleasing to the eye, for sure.
I gotta hand it down to a lot of the actors that played the pilots, such as Miles Teller and some of the other pilots involved. They did a really mature job of acting like pilots. And I don't know if this is because of the extensive training they've done. When they're in the cockpit or when they're flying, their commentary, it's pretty mature, it's pretty grounded and intense. It creates a great, atmosphere as the action scenes are happening, as well as the cinematography of the actual planes and jets going through the environment, whether it's the, crevices in the mountains or just along the lake, just showing the water and everything. It was super dope.
And they had that classic banter between the pilots. They crack jokes about each other, and
but it was just enough, just
it wasn't over the top.
Yeah, and that's what I was scared of, with having a fairly besides Tom Cruise, but having a fairly younger cast to play the pilots. They did a great job acting like they're pilots who've gone through the Air Force Academy and have trained for years for this role and for this mission they're about to go on. Yeah. Now, was there anything that surprised you at all in this movie that you weren't expecting?
No, not really. I mean, I couldn't, nothing. It wasn't that type of movie where you were surprised. I could tell you this. I didn't anticipate anything in the movie, which is good. If you anticipate, this is what's going to happen, then, that makes for a bad movie, because if you guess the entire movie, obviously the story's not that great.
For me, something I didn't expect is once Maverick, saved Rooster and from, getting shot down, and then, and they both kind of, they lose their planes and they both are in the enemy territory, how they meet up in, like, the snow. I didn't expect that whole, like, sequence of events to happen. And then now it's, like, them trying to get out of the enemy territory, which I thought was kind of cool how they brought them both together, because they don't really see eye to eye. There's some history that goes a little bit back where they aren't, friends, or they don't trust each other. Now they actually have to work together, and it was...
And that whole scene was perfect. You wanted, there's a little nostalgia there too,
They go in the F-14
F-14, they bring back a Tomcat. It's so good.
Yeah. This is
where if you were going to pick any part of the movie to be ridiculous, like not realistic, is he flies the Top Gun. Or he flies the F-14, my apologies. And he has to go up against, two 5-gen jets, and realistically it's not going to happen the way it did. But if there's any part of the movie where it was over the top, but it needed to be, it was so good. Those
5th-gen planes are amazing.
Oh my god,
the maneuvers were ridiculous.
Yeah.
And why didn't Maverick and his team get those planes?
Right.
I think they explained it somewhere down the road why they didn't have them, or why their enemies had them, but either way, it was a cool disadvantage they had throughout the movie, learning how to dogfight with these planes, and just basically thinking outside the box, like Maverick has to on most of his missions and such.
Yeah, and just keep in mind, all the pilots were all in Top Gun and graduated at the best of the class, so they're already all best of the best. They all have big heads, and and I think in one part of the film, they're like, who are they going to get to train us? Because we are already the best. And lo and behold, who gets the role? Maverick.
Yeah.
But he did a great part. He did what he needed to do to teach them to be better than they already were. Near the end of the film, they beat the bad guys, and then Rooster is Goose's dad.
Rooster is Goose's
His
son.
Yes. And Tom Cruise says to Rooster, he says, "Thank you for saving my life." And then Rooster says, "That's what my dad would have done," and hugged him. Well, right there, everybody knows Goose did save his life. So Tom Cruise should have said, "He did save my life," and it would have made like, oh yeah, just like bear hug each other, I don't know.
No, I mean that
was the one flaw I thought they really missed. That would have been good to tell his son, "Your dad did save my life, literally dying to save my life."
Well, Kenny, thanks again for joining me today and talking about this awesome film. I think this guy is the only other person who likes Top Gun as much as me, and it's awesome that we both got to see it and are able to sit down and actually talk about it.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure, man. This guy got me into this whole streaming thing. Like he said, I stream on my own channel to do my own thing.
I'll have all of his links down in the description below, so if you want to check Mr. Costco out, please check him out, show him some love, go in his chat, or even just like it and subscribe to his channels. With that being said, you guys have a great day. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
Peace.